Hey fellow fishing friends, how you going? It's been 1 week since my last video, but I wanted to come down and have a fish today because the conditions are actually quite challenging, and I get a lot of people asking me, can you catch fish when the seas are really big? So we've had some really bad weather. It's had so much rain the last few days, it's just been absolutely pouring, and the seas have been massive. They actually peaked yesterday here at about 4 meters. And they're starting to abate, but you can probably see behind me there are still some pretty big waves out there. There's a lot of white water. So today I actually had a look at 2 beaches, and I chose this beach because from the car park, which is a little bit elevated, I could see that along the inside here there was a small channel. It's not super deep. It looks to me like it might be about 1.5 meters or so deep out there, but it looks like it would hold fish. You can see that the waves are breaking a long way out the back. There's big waves breaking out there, there's a lot of white water, but I reckon there'll be some fish hiding in here. So even though it's massive surf, I should be able to catch a feed for dinner. And also, there would be a lot of beaches today that you couldn't fish, but it's just a matter of having a look and finding a beach where you can get that combination of a little bit of depth of water without too much crazy wave action. Now I'm doing the same thing that I did last week, which I called a mixed grill. I've got a half pilchard bait on the bottom, and then I have a worm bait on the top. So I've got a bit of a variety to see if the fish would like one bait or another. And I'm just going to work my way along this stretch just here. So hopefully over the next 30 minutes, should be able to get some fish for dinner. So I'm going to go and cast out. Now, my only slight concern about this spot here is that there's quite a bit of sideways drift. When I'm looking at the water, I can see the water moving from my left to my right. It's quite visible to my eye. Although there's certainly enough depth of water in there that there could be fish there, but possibly what I'm going to need to do is walk along the beach with my bait as it drifts along. And I may get to a point where there's less current. At the moment, all of the water from these big waves that are breaking over there, all of the water from these big waves is washing straight in here and coming along the beach here. Whoops. So far my bait has moved along a bit, so I'm going to go with it. It's moving quite quickly. I have a small star sinker on. I have a small star sinker on, but it's getting swept along, so I'm just going to keep up with it. That way I can sort of run parallel to the shore. Now these are obviously trying conditions, but the thing is, can I still catch dinner even though you've got a massive swell? And can you fish in these conditions? So really that's what we're looking at right now. There's a fair bit of water movement out there. So, you know, your mind sort of asks these questions where there's so much turbulence out the back. You know, do fish really just stay out the back away from all of the, all the heavy wave action? Or do they actually make it into these little inshore troughs where I am now? Okay. Whoa! I have not had any bites as yet. Nothing. I'm hoping I actually get to a place where the drift slows down a bit. That would be good. I can see along this beach that while we've got a little bit of green water in close, I can see further along the beach it's kind of similar. Actually, I just got washed a little bit then. It's kind of similar right down along the beach. It's not a massive beach, so I may cover a fair bit of ground. Here, fish, fish, fish. It's always exciting when you actually get some action when you get a bite. Okay, so yeah, I'm walking backwards because my line went slack and my line was obviously getting washed in towards me. So I want to stay in touch with my bait. I want to be able to feel the end of my line. So my options are, if my line goes slack, I can wind in until I'm in touch with my bait again, or I can walk backwards. And the same thing goes for if you've got a bit of current that is sucking you out, you can walk forwards with it and just let your bait go out with it, which is what I'm doing a little bit right now. But certainly there's a lot of movement out there. So I just got washed in a fair bit then. Wow, that's amazing. Hang on, I think my bait's pretty close to shore. Look at that. Hang on, that's a bit of weed on my line. Just give that a little jiggle and get that off. I'm going to pull my line in. Okay, so what I might do now, my baits are both still fine. So what I might do is just put a little bit more effort into my cast. Toss it out just a fraction further. I'm just going to wait for a little gap between this wave and the next wave. Very often when you're down at the beach, it's helpful to be able to walk closer to the water if you want to get your bait out a bit further and then retreat. So I've just chucked that out now, and now I'm going to get out of the zone where all the water is. Okay, so what's going on out there? So this is certainly an interesting exercise. And it's a beautiful part of the day, beautiful time of the day. Look at that. You've got the sun setting over in the, whoops. It's just stunning. So if I can actually match it with a couple of nice fish, then that'll be really good. Wow. The water is certainly deep enough here to hold fish. But no action as yet. You might be able to see, if you look down the beach, there's a little bit of deep water in close down there as well. I'm hoping that when I walk down there, there's less sideways movement, because at the moment it's pretty fierce. My line right now is going, I cast my line out that way, it's going way down there. It's almost washed back into shore. So, where am I? Yeah, look. Uh-oh, here comes a wave. I'm pretty much on the shore. Man, that current is strong. So what I'm going to do is walk a bit further along the beach and see if I can find a patch of water where there's less current, because you know, you'd need a really heavy grapple sinker to be able to hold ground out here. The type of fishing that I'm doing is fairly light. I'm not fishing heavy at all, because I enjoy doing this sort of thing when I can just have one rod and wander the beach. Yeah, it's just really cool, a very simple way to fish. So I'm going to walk down the beach a bit further. Where I was starting on the northern end of the beach, the swell, the waves are coming a little bit from the north. And that is why you've got to push from the north to the south, because the waves are coming from that northerly direction. Actually, this might have a little bit of promise over here. You know, I would have still have expected to get a bite in there because there was enough water, and even though my bait was being washed along, I still would have expected to get a bite. You know, if you really needed to catch some fish and you're desperate for a feed, you would fish these. I mean, you'd fish these conditions anyway, but you would persevere. All right, still looks like it's moving a lot. Come on, Mr. Fish. Okay, let's see how we go. So I haven't had any bites yet, and there's been a lot of current moving from my left to my right. I'm hoping that it's a little bit better just here. I chose now to fish because the tide is coming in, and at low tide it would be completely impossible because the water would be too shallow. It would just be a total washing machine of sand and water. So I figured if I was going to have any chance today, it would have to be at high tide or around high tide. And high tide is actually not till 9 o'clock tonight, and it's currently 7:15, so we're still a fair way away from high tide. I'm going to pull my line in, and I'm going to cast upstream to my left, and then let it drift down past me. There's quite a lot of power in this wash. Okay, so my worm is still looking good. My pilchard looks a little bit averaged, a little bit mushed up. So I'm actually going to replace it and put a fresh one on. I'm actually going to replace my pilchard bait because it's a bit mangled. Chuck that out and get a new one out of my little pack. Grab one there. Some of you guys ask me, how do you hook it up when you're using the stinger hook? That's a half pilchard. What I do is I put the main hook right through up near the tail and pull it all the way through to the other side. Then I take the main hook down and pin it through the main meaty part of the fish, so you can see that. Then I bring the stinger up and I do the same thing. I put the stinger in this side, although I don't put it all the way through like the big hook, and then I just pin the stinger in there. But it's important to do that half hitch on the top because it really holds it together, and a pilchard's a fairly soft bait unless you've salted it, but that'll work well. So we'll try that again. Well, it's actually it's a good time of the day to be fishing. just watching and waiting, because I can see this big wave's going to nail me if I don't get out of the way. I'll wait till it subsides. So I can get back down in the general zone down here. I'll just let it subside a little bit more. Keep walking down, and then I've got to get out of here before these other waves hit. Okay, so at least I got out where I want to get to. I've got to come right back up. The water's not too cold actually. It's pretty good. I mean, it's today is the 25th of October. So it should be getting warmer by now. Look at that, my line's getting sucked out. Current's going out a bit there. Look at that. What is that? Is that just current? I think that's just the current sucking it there. I can't see any weed in the water. You can see some of those waves out the back. They're still pretty solid out there. The set waves will probably be 2 meters, I reckon. But pretty powerful. Okay. Wow. Goodness me. You know, I might not have had any bites yet, but how good is this? Down on the beach, I've got my feet on the sand, in the water. It's awesome. I'll be able to watch the sunset. And I'm putting myself in a position to catch something. I could be doing something boring right now. I never get bored with it. With fishing, that's for sure. Okay. I had a bit of a tug then, but hang on, it's had a bite then. I'm pretty sure that was a bite. Was that a bite? Yeah, it's a bite. Oh, I'm on. Woo! I got a bite. I got a fish. Woohoo! What have I got? It's a fish. That's the main thing. I think it's probably a salmon, like the other day. But hey, look, I've hooked a fish. Now I've got to get him in. And with so much water moving around, oh man, yep, there's so much water moving around, that poses a challenge. So I've actually just got to keep moving with this because, man, there's a lot of drawback with those waves sucking back out there, putting a lot of pressure on the line. So I'm going to let the fish tire out and then hopefully I can bring it in with the surge. That's the idea, is you've got to let the water work with you. In fact, I'm going to keep winding now because it's coming towards me, and if I let the waves start sucking back, it's going to get a lot harder. And he's up near the shore, so oops, here we go, here's another little wave. I'll use this, I'm trying to anyway, but he's trying to swim away. I'm just going to keep the pressure on it, even though it's going back, because it's not very deep here. Okay. Well, on light tackle, these fish are fun. Well, all right, so that's a victory to start off with because the conditions are not like a picnic. All right, so my goodness, that's interesting. My two rigs have joined together. Actually, I'm just going to come up the beach and get away from the water. Now, on my video last week, some people made some good comments. And there was a comment by a gentleman by the name of Ian Burtonshaw who suggested that I drill a hole through a rod holder and attach it to my strap. So Ian, if you're watching, I've adopted your plan. I've just got to get my rod holder off my strap, which shouldn't be too hard, which I've done. So as you suggested, Ian, I now have somewhere to put my rod when I'm doing this type of fishing. Now, this is interesting because it's almost like this fish took both baits, because I can see the red hook that's in his mouth is what had the worm. So he's definitely eaten the worm bait, because that red hook was the worm bait. But I'm mystified. I think he's actually taken both baits, because I think there's another hook still in him. I'm not sure. Yeah, there is. Oh man. This fish has swallowed. He's taken both baits. Can you believe that? That fish ate both of my baits, both the pilchard and the worm. Both lots of hooks are in his mouth. So, got to get my trusty knife out. Now I'm going to have to perform an operation on this fish, because I got one hook out, but there's still another hook in there. So I will do that. Got to get that out. The other hook he has swallowed. Right down. Man, uh-oh. That must have been a big wave. Okay, so the hook that's down his throat is actually the stinger on that other rig. So I've got to be careful. I don't want to actually get that stinger hook in my finger. Oh, I can see it. Whoa. I also don't want to cut the line either. Look at that, there it is. There's that little hook that was right down there. All right, now all I've got to do is untangle this mess. Alrighty. I'm going to just leave him in there, actually. Wow, when you look out at the water out there, it looks almost impossible to fish. Just so rough and messy. Okay. Put him in there. Oops. We need a bit more worm. So that greedy fish ate the worm and the pilchard. My gosh. What a greedy fish. Just going to thread the worm on the hook. I can feel something biting my foot. Some sort of bug is down there biting my foot. So I'll Put a nice big worm bait on. Aha! Oh well, he won't eat much. That's what my dad used to say. He won't eat much. Okay. Time to get this line in the water again. Okay. What a mission. All right. It looks even rougher than before right now, but we caught a fish here, so we'll cast back out again. Super hazy right now. Now, the salmon that I caught last week, I turned into Thai fish cakes, and they're all gone. But this is only one fish, so really need a couple to make a decent batch. I tell you what, every time a wave comes in, the sand is so flat here that it just washes so far up. If I was to stand up the top and cast, I just wouldn't be really getting where I want to get. So I need to wait and then walk down further like this so I can be confident I'm out in the deep water, which I am. So I'm happy with where that landed. But you can see there's a double wave coming for me right now. I'm just walking back. So let's see, you know, it's that time of the night, it's feeding time for the fish. That was amazing, that salmon. I felt a bite, I thought I felt a bite, and then I waited, and then yes, I knew I could tell it was a bite, but I think what's happened is he has taken the pilchard bait and then seen the worm hanging there as well and grabbed the worm. So really I had several bites, but it was the one fish biting both baits. So what time is it? Okay, well I nearly said it's just after 7:30. Now I'm going to pull the plug in a minute. If I could get a second fish, that would be good for the table. But it just goes to show that in that really messy water that you can see, I'm guessing that you can see, it's just so... Whoa, here comes a wave, got to jump up. Whoops. Yeah, it's just so... I was trying to think of the word, but turbulent is the right word. It's just so turbulent out there. So really, this has just been an exercise to catch a fish in difficult conditions and show you kind of what I would do anyway, and the general idea of how to fish in conditions like this. So I trust that this has been helpful. I'm going to pull the plug. I'm happy that I've caught a fish, but it'll be dark in a minute. I wasn't planning to fish after dark, So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope this has been a good learning thing for you. You've picked up a few tips that you can still catch fish. Hang on, I got another one. Sorry, I just had a bite. Oh well, here we go. How good is that? I really was just going to wind in and finish. Further down the beach again. It'll be another salmon, undoubtedly. Something is biting my leg. There's these bugs here. Where is he? Getting pretty close, actually. Yeah, it's getting pretty close. Come on. This guy hasn't jumped out of the water yet, which is what salmon usually do, but it feels like a salmon. Oh, just taking some line. I've got to get it back down. Oh, come on, come on. Oh. Come in with this wave. That's it, come in with the wave. Yep. I've got 2 fish at once, have I? No way. That's what the problem is. 2 fish. Oh, it's heavy. What a classic. 1 fish on pilchard, 1 fish on worm. So cool. Oh, what a bonus. How good is that? Now, these are not big models, but they're nice eating models. So I'm going to hold it up and hopefully you can see there's one there and one down there. What a great way to end this little session. So I guess to wrap it up, very difficult conditions, big swells, big waves. Oops, there goes a fish. Come back, come back, come back. He's going to escape, look. Well, I'll hold this one. That's okay. So I just got this guy, at least I ended up with 2. Technically I caught 3 fish. Okay, my rod holder is back up the beach. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I trust that you'll learn some things, and even though it's crazy down here, still caught some fish. So I'll see you. I'll look to do another one of these videos during the next week. I think the ocean's going to calm down a little bit and the beach fishing conditions should be pretty good. Should be able to target a few other species as well. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Catch you later.